they're like, is this gonna hurt me? Like they're asking if red light therapy or if the brain mapping is going to hurt them or cause them problems. But you're okay to take 5 medications that have the multiple side effects. So it's just that mindset shift that it's like, a lot of these things is just gonna help optimize and help you accept the nutrients you need, put your body into a state where it can heal. There's just so much out there. And I just love what you're doing because it sounds like you're really empowering people with the tools and frameworks that can help them to go forward.
So you guys, today I am leaning in to the fact, period, that I want everybody to have education and personal empowerment in your health and wellness. And so I have asked the Chief Operating Officer at EverHealth to come join us today. EverHealth is focused really on transforming healthcare into a preventative model. Gee, gosh, wouldn't that be an amazing thing? They use a lot of different proprietary programs, technologies, and a network of different health professionals. So pulling, like I always say, a clinic without walls, pulling from every aspect that we can. Because don't forget, you guys are unique and biodiverse and dynamic, having complex issues right now. So let's get to the bottom of it. So Roxy Pirnia, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I know, this is going to be cool. We started chatting a little bit before and I'm like, no, wait, let's turn on the camera. So I gave, kind of a basic description of what you do, but tell me a little bit about EverHealth and tell me a little bit about really this life-changing conference that you guys have.
Yeah, so we're really on a mission to move our healthcare system to a preventative model. So many of us, I know your listeners know, we're frustrated, we're not getting better. And unfortunately, when we go to maybe a traditional practitioner or through the traditional healthcare model, we're sometimes, given a blood test and it's just a drug and it's kind of like, then you move on with your day. And what we're really trying to do is to flip that to where we're addressing root causes. We're not just band-aiding symptoms, and we're showcasing really amazing cutting-edge technologies, products, programs that can help people become preventative and proactive with their health. And so one of the ways we do that is we work with holistic practitioners, naturopaths, chiropractors, all the practitioners who are looking to become more preventative and proactive with their patients. And we help them with integration of the technologies and products. We help them with finding the best of the best that's out there, and then also educating their patients. We have some platforms that can help to educate patients. We also do this through our Changing Life and Destiny conference, which is our annual conference where we bring together really the practitioners as well as consumers, activists, anyone who's out there who's like, I'm thirsty to learn more. I want to know what's going on. And we come together and we learn and we experience hands-on a lot of the top technologies and products in holistic health. So we're kind of attacking it at all different places in all different ways, both, B2B with practitioners as well as direct to consumers, because we know that to have a revolution in healthcare and to change the system, it has to be a grassroots movement. We've tried to address it. We all know the pharmaceutical powers that be. There's a lot of money there. So we kind of have to, as a community, come together and say, no, this is the direction we want to go, and start driving it that way.
I love what you just said. I was interviewing somebody actually this last week, and he is a professor at the medical school at Harvard. And he's actually been involved in teaching medical students for the last 40 years. And he had said the coolest thing to me, which is we have to change the practitioner as they learn, the practitioner as they relearn. And there may be a lot of ethical reasons why we need to do it, but the number one reason why we have to do it is because the consumer is demanding it. And I went, wow, because it's been a really long time. This will be 30 years I've been in practice, right? I was kicking down doors to get people to talk about, energy medicine, nutrition, micronutrients, how our food integrates, not just with I was teaching a class when I was 26 years ago, I was pregnant with my son, on the gut microbiome 26 years ago, begging doctors to listen. And now all the top universities and hospitals are starting to do some research associated with it. But to your point, what's the motivation? What's the inspiration? I'm hoping that it is because the patient's demanding it or the consumer is demanding it. But until they straighten things out, or if they ever straighten things out, we don't have time is of the essence. And so we have to find solutions right now. Someone also said to me in our interviews last week was live every day like it's your last, because one day you're going to be right.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it, right? So let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do it. I know. So I feel like I've been doing this, like, I feel old in the practice in the sense that, like I said, it'll be 30 years. When I first started and I was doing non-cognitive biofeedback and homeopathy and herbs and Ayurvedic medicine and, nutrition, it was like, I remember walking into a perinatologist, one of the highest risk pregnancy doctors, and he was like, doesn't matter. The body's going to, turn it all into glucose. And it doesn't matter. And I'm just like, oh man, you don't get it. We're good friends now because I'm ornery, and I kept showing him how important this was. Family member of his got sick. He suddenly came back to my door, as I was on his. But I hate to say it's changing. I think it's changing. I hope it's changing. What do you think? What do you see in the future? You're young and excited, and I have to shake myself when I get frustrated and watch people get medically gaslit, right? What do you see? What's your hope coming into the future of medicine?
Well, it's interesting. So this company, really, this was my dad's mission for 20 plus years. Oh. He started out, so this is truly his vision. And he started doing this over 20 years ago. He had some proprietary programs. One was a ketogenic diet, and he had a couple other things, and it just wasn't sticking, his message. And I think, he got a huge investor, and the time wasn't right. And now, in the last 3 years, really, I think something has totally changed. And to be honest, I do think a lot of it has to do with COVID. I think COVID really woke people up to the fact that if you're not taking control of your health, like, that's your only option in this system.
Hi, it's Haylie, your host. I know firsthand what it feels like to find real, impactful solutions to your struggles. And I know what it feels like to lose hope. We are being bombarded by toxins every single day. As a matter of fact, the world's largest single environmental health risk is air pollution. One thing that is becoming crystal clear is that environmental toxic burdens in our bodies must be addressed. Let me help you tackle toxic burden. Go to HayliePomroy.com/detox and download my free Detox Decoded Masterclass. Let's give you a fighting chance. I know what it feels like to lose hope, whether you're dealing with fatigue, mast cell activation, an autoimmune disorder, long COVID, viral reactivation, anxiety or depression, or inflammation. All of it can feel overwhelming. I will teach you nutrition and natural therapies to help your body eliminate toxins. I cannot wait to see you there. Again, that's HayliePomroy.com/detox.
We all became, like I always said, I've always been the CMO of my family, the chief medical officer, right? Like that's just the role that I played in our family, whether it's my parents or my sisters or my kids or my nieces or nephews. But I'm in this industry, right? So many people had to become the CMO of their family or for their family during this crisis. Mm-hmm. The other thing was, so we talk a lot about viral reactivation in the immunology space, viruses in general, right? But the other thing that happened is there's things that trickle in where maybe people have to deal with it on a subliminal or a lower level. And there's, you got a couple friends that don't feel great. Or like my son said the other day, in my practice, people have flown in for years from all over, or I've flown in to them. And he said, is it the same, or is there more people not well? And we were walking our neighborhood, and I said, back 30 years ago, people would fly in because what I was doing from a preventative or holistic or a health strategist perspective was needed by people that were really struggling. And I said, now we walk down our cul-de-sac and about every other house could use it in real time, and everybody's house could use it from a preventative perspective, right? Mm-hmm. So when we're talking about prevention, I don't even know. I mean, I don't know. You're going to help me shift this. I don't even know if prevention's if prevention is even it anymore. I think we're in the middle of it, right? I don't know if we can prevent it. We're in the middle of it. We all had more stress than we have ever had. We've all had more exposures to things than we've ever had. So we're kind of unraveling right now. And I may be preventing some of the big, huge, heavy hitters, but just preventing stress is like almost unheard of anymore, right? So prevention, when you talk about prevention, are you talking about the big diseases, cancers, diabetes, heart disease?
We're talking about the big diseases, which are important. But to your point, we're also talking about how do we manage and optimize our health when we've all probably got a lot going on already. Right. And so things like stress, to your point, we know stress is one of the number one inducers of disease and a lot of the issues that we face. So there's so many brilliant technologies and products these days that are helping people to manage their stress or to just take some time to themselves. I don't know if you've heard of Brain Tap or you use Brain Tap. Brain Tap is a very common one.
Yes. And very familiar. Very familiar. And very familiar with, infrared sauna. We call what we call success boosters in our community, right? Infrared sauna, non-cognitive biofeedback, power plates. There's a whole variety, massage, acupuncture. The thing is that what I always tell our community is we're having this very complex, especially if you're having an issue, it's a complex issue. None of us are pill deficient, right? I was on prednisone, Imurin, Celsep, Mepron medication for my autoimmune disorder. I made the shift. I had to make the shift when I found myself in the hospital with right kidney failure. And they said, well, gosh, these drugs really aren't an option for you anymore. Okay, well, that's a novel idea in my early 20s. So I started creating integrative clinics where we could bring in all different aspects from, wet sock treatments to rice. I mean, we had it all. It's kind of cool that it's, I don't want to say migrating in, but it's becoming, it used to be considered alternative. Now it's considered, I think, effective, one thing, right? And I do also think that it became necessary. I totally agree with you. That's one thing that was good out of the pandemic was that we recognized that, one, nobody had all the answers, and two, some of the people that had the answers didn't know what the hell they were doing, and are, right? A for effort. That's what I keep trying to tell everybody and pat them on the back. We had a conference that I was really interesting. It was one of the docs out of Brigham and Women's Hospital, and they were talking about long COVID. And they said, is the virus gone? Is there particles of the virus? Or was it vaccine induced? And I went, I just went left, right. Like, did somebody just say that in a conference? Because 3 years ago, you'd have been out of a job.
Right.
But I do think that it brought people's courage to have conversation about what's right for their health. And that's, I think, really important with what you guys do, is you guys give us tons of exposure to things where, your conference specifically, tons of exposures to things where maybe we'd have to go to probably 100 different practitioner offices to actually see all of that technology.
Yeah, and I think the point you touched on earlier is really important. We are all individual people, and we have our own individual things going on, needs going on. And so we really need to figure out what is right for you. And just to be able to get some blood testing done and analyze biomarkers is the biggest pain. Insurance won't cover it.
And not just a pain, it can be, we literally, and I'm talking, we have an intelligent community. We have thousands of people in our community. We all get together. We have a private Facebook group. We have an incredibly intelligent community and day after day after day, they're in there saying, my doctor just told me I didn't need that lab. And I said, well, cool. Did you tell him you're not into psychic medicine today? You'd actually like real science. Can you please run the frickin' lab? You know what I mean? I don't care. I don't know. I get very upset about taking the power away from the patient personally. That's a pet peeve of mine. But to that point, there's all of these labs that are out there now that can look at how your body utilizes and supports stuff. So we look at, stress or stressors, right? Or hormetic events, whatever you want to call it today. We look at toxic exposure and how the body either passively or actively detoxifies. We look at nutrient deficiencies because that can be huge. And then we look at how the body creates homeostasis in a state of chaos, right? Because we're trying to stay alive at all costs. And sometimes that means we get inflammation. That means we get autoimmune disorders. That means, cancers. Sometimes it's just the way that the body can stay alive under a tremendously stressful environment. So I would say, lean in, be in awe, and then learn all that you can about your body. What are some of the exciting, you mentioned Brain Tap, what are some of the exciting labs that you see out there? There's some really fun stuff.
There's some really fun stuff. I mean, there's a lot out there now, so you could find a lot of things. We particularly have partnered with AU Metrics. I don't know if you've heard of them. And it's at-home lab testing. You get the kit, you do what you need to do. But the exciting part, I think, is that once you have that information, the question is, what do you do with it? And who are you working with to do something about it? So where we want to really come to play here is to not only provide people with the information, but also have them work with someone, a functional medicine practitioner like yourself, who can really help them to get better. For example, when I was in my 20s, I had polycystic ovarian syndrome, and I went to a traditional practitioner, and he was like, you need to go on birth control. And it was the only option given to me. And I was like, there's got to be another way here. And so I partnered with a naturopath who then just put me on a regimen of supplements, looked at my lab testing, put me on a regimen of supplements. I changed the type of water I was drinking. I fixed up my diet. And 6 months later, my cysts were completely gone. Right. And I went back to that practitioner that I first went to, who did the ultrasound, and he's like, "Oh, your cysts are gone. Cool, good." And I was like, "Yeah,
it's working really well."
I was like, "Let me tell you what I did. Don't you want to know?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "No, I mean, I think you should still go on birth control." And that was the moment I was like, "Okay, there's like a real issue here." Yeah, and that's where people want more help.
It's so funny because that exact, or not exact, but almost parallel, right? For me and my health and hematologist, because I have an autoimmune disorder called ITP. The only thing was, I'm so ornery. I just was thinking about this the other day. Maybe as I'm getting older, I'm like, wow, I was feisty. I was just hell-bent on convincing him that there was another way, right? He was at the Disney Cancer Center. He was at UCLA Hematological Oncology Center. And, visit after visit after visit, I would like bring him stuff. When I wrote my first book, I was like, here you go. It's really cool because now he gives out tons of, he gives out tons of my books. He's super supportive and stuff. But I think for the first 10 years of my relationship with him, it was like, me bullying him into drawing the labs that I wanted, which is crazy when you're not well, right? And then bringing him article. And I made it kind of my mission, which I think about it now, but it was how I developed my career, right? I just went, I cannot have gone through this just to watch everybody else have this massive chasm between not being well and finding, I'm not just surviving, but thriving, right? And so I love that you did that and that it took such a nice chunky period of time and you had those resources to you. When you talked about having labs right at home, I think that's really, really valuable. And we are seeing more companies do that. We have certified fast metabolism diet coaches. And I actually teach some classes tonight. We do what we call advanced clinicals, where our coaches all come together. We have a volunteer that comes in and we start, cold client on them, like never met this person before. They've got all their stuff. And one of the things that I'm always telling, my coaches is that body is experiencing it 24/7, right? So first and foremost, they should never walk through your door without 100% being believed. And if you don't, send them somewhere else, right? You cannot. And I don't know that at least I've had the displeasure of many of people being at the Institute for Neuroimmune Medicine. We work with ME/CFS, which is myalgic encephalomyelitis, chronic fatigue syndrome, right? 10 years, 20 doctors left. Just haven't been believed for years and years and years. So one of the gifts in our clinic that everybody walks in the door is we believe in, we are an advocate, period, first and foremost. We're also open it is amazing. I when I first went there, I just thought, oh my gosh, this is incredible. We're also open and receptive and try to be a conduit for all aspects of health, integrative in our space, right? whether that's nutrition, supplementation, non-cognitive biofeedback, tapping, breath work, brain tap, you name it. I mean, we have a multicultural, multidisciplinary, we have acupuncture in-house, approach, right? And I will tell you, it's not because people in our institute believed in natural medicine. It was because brilliant people in our institute weren't getting the results they needed. Mm-hmm. And they have access to every drug. And because we're a research facility, we have access to every drug that's not even on the market yet. And they still weren't getting the results they needed. So they they were forced to, on behalf of their patients, turn towards these other types of therapies. So it's really cool when you have to see that. Again, later in my career, in the beginning, I went to just a water conference, right? Just to learn about the different types of water and how they hydrate the body and the bond angles and the receptor sites and the hormones and what's going on in the female body, the male body, just about water. Salt conference, just to learn about, how different salts affect the body. Like, there's so much that's out there for people. And that's what I love about what you guys are doing. Tell me what you're excited about in this next conference. What that's coming up this next year. I know you guys are already in the works. What's getting you giddy? What's making Dad proud?
Oh, we're just, every year we've doubled our conference in size, in content. And again, I think it's to what we're talking about, which is people are thirsty for this information and for help. And more people want to be at our events and to, really understand what's out there. So more than anything, I'm just excited to continue to spread the message, to continue to get people there. In terms of what's the future here for us in the company and where we're going, which I think some people hear this and they think it's wild, and some people are really excited about it. But we are integrating a lot of interesting technology in terms of the metaverse as well as AI. And as much as I think people hear those things and they may get concerned, or it is scary, right? The rate at which AI is changing the game in our world right now. However, we know that if businesses don't start to integrate AI into what they're doing, they may not survive. So we're looking at how do we integrate AI into healthcare to democratize healthcare further, to help people get the information they need and not always have to go into a clinic or into a doctor's office. There's a lot we can do with that. And the metaverse is a really incredible platform for people to not have to leave their home to be able to attend our conference. We do have a Metaverse conference where we can get together and engage with one another without having to be in person, because we know there's a lot of people who can't get there. So we have to add these tools in, and that's the direction we're going in, which I know, again, some people hear that and they're like, whoa. And some people are like, that's amazing. So just throwing it out there.
I'm going to age this for you a little bit. I'm going to tell you that it's so interesting because back in the day when I was, I started young, right? Really young. But before then, growing up, because I had systemic eczema and health issues, I was definitely exposed to a lot of, my daughter was born at home. The first person that laid their hands on her was a chiropractor in the water. And I, as a kid, started chiropractic too. I was just in our world and in our family and in our life, right? But what's really kind of interesting to me, when you talk about AI in medicine. So in our research facility, when I first came in, it was like, we can't have AI in the science aspect of things. And I'm going, well, there are hundreds of millions of articles on a particular research subject. And at the time we were dealing with COVID, right? So we were looking at spike protein, we were looking at CRPs, we were looking at interleukins, all the different cytokine panels and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm going to start streaming this all through AI and find out what other countries are seeing and doing. And it was like, people were like, whoa. And then all of a sudden people were like, wait. But it came back from years ago. When I was 19, I was first exposed to what they call quantum medicine. I know you are a little bit familiar with some of that. And quantum physics, right? And the connectedness that we have. And I just think AI is kind of the next generation in cellular communication or energetic communication. I really think that some of this fear that it's this far-fetched future is almost from a science perspective, like when we first discovered bacteria. It's like it was there all along. We all knew it was there all along, but until Pasteur found it, we couldn't identify it and call it something. And I think AI in medicine is really going to create a connectedness and knock down barriers to access. Because we see, we'll use breast cancer treatment for an example. You can go to the Mayo Clinic, or you can go to MD Anderson, or you can go to Dana-Farber, Brigham and Women's, and get, maybe a world-class medical, and maybe at MD Anderson, although Dana-Farber's doing a lot of integrative medicine now. We just worked with someone that we had a part of the tumor extracted and added to an NK cell and sent down to a clinic in Mexico to do, medicine on, not what you would normally see happening. Totally different than if you're in small town, maybe Texas or somewhere else, getting a therapy. Again, those are pharmacological, but that's the case even with natural therapies or energetic therapies, right? Is that we have this super strong connectivity that's happening with AI. So I'm not afraid of it. I actually think it is the tangible aspect of quantum medicine, in my opinion. But
that's a really interesting way to put it. I've not thought about it like that.
It just knocks down the barrier to being connected, right? And what's true will resonate, and what's not true for you won't. And yeah. But the other thing is, and I wonder how you feel about this. So a lot of people in our community years ago, 10 years ago even, would practice different aspects outside of the box medicine and not tell their doctor about it. Mm-hmm. Right? They would be doing Addison or some sort of, light therapy or something. And they would say, "Do you want to tell my doctor about it? I'm afraid to talk to an oncologist about it." We do, in our community, we do a Dear Dr. Sanders letter. Basically, it's to help you prepare to go into any practitioner's office. And it's to help you convey in a very short time your pitch, your story about who you are, what you're going through, what you're curious about in your health, and where you need help. And one of the things that I've said is if you're not proud yet of what you're doing on behalf of your body outside of what you've already been offered, let me be proud for you and let me help you define this. And more and more and more, you'll get confident in the fact that you're taking care of yourself. Again, people had to. People were dropped on their ass. People were dropped on their rear ends during COVID when they couldn't even get in to see their doctor. And a lot of their doctors didn't know what to do, right? So we learned that, again, turn in, listen to our bodies, listen to the wisdom of our bodies, and do any and everything that we can that won't impact it in a negative way. And if we throw a ton of positives, something's going to click.
I love that. It's really wild to me that, so this is, my dad's vision. My mom is actually a psychologist, and she 10 years ago started to integrate neurofeedback and doing brain mapping. And she has people who are coming into her clinic on 5 different medications. And they're like, is this going to hurt me? They're asking if red light therapy or if the brain mapping is going to hurt them or cause them problems. But you're okay to take 5 medications that have the multiple side effects. So it's just that mindset shift that it's a lot of these things is just going to help optimize and help you accept the nutrients you need, put your body into a state where it can heal. And there's just so much out there. And I just love what you're doing, because it sounds like you're really empowering people with the tools and frameworks that can help them to go forward.
Thank you. And I love what you guys are doing. And I appreciate you coming on. And I really want to make sure that everybody can access the conference. So I will be there. So tell me how everybody can connect. How can they become consumers of this amazing event?
Absolutely. So if you go to changelifedestiny.com, that is where you'll get all the information in terms of the conference. Then next year, April 25th to the 27th, the Hilton Granite Park Hotel. It's in Plano, Texas, just North Dallas. And we are just very excited. We're going to be featuring what we call the Health 100. So it's the 100 companies, technologies, products that are really revolutionizing holistic healthcare. And so we really pride ourselves in taking the time to look at, each company and what they're doing, and not have a million duplicates of everything and, multiples of the same kind of technology. We really want to kind of just present one for of each category. So we really take our time to curate an experience that I think people will really appreciate.
That's exciting. Yeah, I was just going to say definitely curation of, because there's a lot out there. So that's wonderful. I love that you came on. I just want all of our community to know is if you don't have the answers, just remember the end of that sentence is yet. Okay? If you don't have the answers yet. Like I always say in my book, the word diet means, did I eat today? 2, right? Whatever you want. Run faster, jump higher, have twins, whatever it is that you want in your life. Use food as medicine, use food as nutrients. But if you don't have what you want yet, if you're not feeling outrageously healthy, if you're not swinging from the chandeliers, if you don't have an abundance of energy, good mobility, it's just because you don't have the answers yet. So we're always trying to bring things for our community to just jump into, take advantage of. And I really appreciate what you're, generationally what you're doing. We're a family business. Everything that, we create in our family usually has some sort of story, from some inspiration from the kids or detox. I was just sharing with somebody about our 10-day cleanse that it was created because one of my best girlfriends, we were both nursing our kids, and she was diagnosed with breast cancer. And that was how that one was developed, right? So when there's passion behind what you do, it just magnifies the impact that you can make. So thank you. And thank you for jumping on. And we will hopefully connect soon. And I would love, as you guys get closer, maybe we can do some fun podcasts and feature some of the good things that you have going on there.
Absolutely. I would love that.
We'll see you in April.
See you in April. Thank you so much.
Wait, just real quick, tell everybody one more time.
ChangeLifeDestiny.com.
ChangeLifeDestiny.com. I'll see you guys there in April. Until then, make sure that you check them out, get registered, and participate in what they have going on. It's great things, everybody. All the stuff that we talk about in our success boosters are there for you. If you're stuck, it's just because you haven't found the results. You haven't found the solution to get your results quite yet.